Welcome to another episode of Unscripted with Dasco Learning, where we unpack the real skills to help you grow your career, your confidence, and your communication. Today's topic, it's a big one: anxiety over presenting or public speaking. And a lot of us face this, which I think we all wish we were a little bit more chill about.
You're not alone. I think everybody has some form of anxiety over public speaking. There are studies out there that show that people are more afraid of public speaking than death or skydiving.
75% of people fear public speaking. So there's no secret about it.
Today, we're diving into why we get nervous. We'll talk a little bit about the science and psychology behind it. Dave and I don't come with doctorate degrees in psychology, but we do come with a lot of statistics and real world experience that can help you understand why this happens and some of the science behind it. And most importantly, we're going to talk about the solutions, how to build confidence in a way that's real and sustainable.
Yeah, and we'll also talk about some of the tools that are out there to help you be more successful and be less nervous when it comes to getting prepared and ready. And that's some of the AI tools that we've talked about in previous episode. Ultimately, at the end of the day, we all go through this. Scott and I have gone through this. We still do at times. And so we're going to talk about some of the tactics, the techniques that you can use that will just make you feel less nervous.
We'll share some of our personal experiences, some of the things that we do as tactics and tricks to make sure that we increase our confidence and reduce our anxiety as we go along. Let's talk about why we get nervous. There's science behind it. So when you speak, your body actually kicks into fight or flight mode. Your brain doesn't really necessarily know if you're giving a keynote speech or fighting a bear. That's how our brain interprets some of these events. And for some people out there, they'd rather fight a bear than go on stage and speak publicly. It's something that keeps people up at night. It's something that reduces people's sleep ahead of time. And all those things just add up to making you even more anxious towards the event.
Yeah, that explains the dry mouth, the shaky hands, all those things that create anxiety around us. It's our amygdala that kicks in. Part of
the what?
The amygdala.
Okay.
That's part of our temporal lobe. And that's where our fear and our emotion kicks in. And so it's basically yelling at us that, hey, we're in danger. And we have to be able to somehow control that. That is the amygdala.
Bless you.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Okay, so I take that back. I take my earlier statement back. Dave does have some sort of doctorate in psychology, but that's real. There is a physiological reaction to these things that affects our body. Our mind has a reaction. This is why people don't like public speaking or presenting. But there's some more statistics to back this up. 57% of students reported high levels of anxiety when speaking. In fact, there's EEG scans out there that scan your brain activity when you're in these types of environments. And there's tests that have been done. And sure enough, they show that the brain is going on full power mode during these moments. So we have to figure out how we can control this or mitigate these nerves and this anxiety in a way that our body can physically respond to those opposing vibes where there's confidence and positivity.
The anxiety doesn't mean that you're unprepared. Ultimately, it comes down to how do you take that anxiety and concentrate that into energy. It's like the professional athletes that go out there and perform at a peak level. They go through the anxiety, but they have figured out ways to control that and put it into a way that helps them perform at peak levels.
It's an interesting analogy you bring up, because when athletes are about to go out onto the field or the court for a big game, they experience a similar type of anxiety that people get when they're public speaking. It is a similar emotion. Or if you're a theater kid, you probably have a lot of these same types of feelings right before you step on stage to do a play. It's a similar type of feeling that those people get to what we all get when we have to give a public speech.
It's interesting because I had a lot of experience in music. And I think about this when I get in front of audiences and get a chance to speak, train, coach. In my years of experience as a lead vocalist, every time I got on stage to perform, I was anxious. I was nervous. But I figured out ways to control that and be prepared. And whether it's the hundreds of shows that I performed in, I got to a point where it's, how do you create a positive affirmation, visualize yourself being successful in that moment, controlling your breathing? That's part of our nervous system, box breathing and things like that. And so that part of my life really helped in my professional career as a coach, a trainer. And I've gained a lot of experience from that translated to this aspect of my life.
To this day, as many with the, who knows, thousands of presentations that you and I have given, times on stage in front of small groups, big groups, thousands of people, 10 people, every time I'm about to start a situation like that, any form of public speaking, I still get nerves and anxiety. I still think about it the days leading up to it. I start to lose sleep the closer and closer I get to that day that I have to do that. And so even for an experienced professional, people like us that have done this so much, the anxiety is there. So it is not about getting rid of the anxiety. It's about how do you manage it? How do you use it to your advantage? How do you mitigate the nervousness? How do you turn that nervousness into a positive energy? Those are the keys to success to overcoming that, because it still happens. So it's going to be inevitable. There's no reason to back down from it. And what Dave and I have learned, and that we can help put into practice for everybody out there, is to power through those moments of fear and those moments of uncertainty to get through to the other side, where there is a lot of positive feelings and positive momentum that carry you towards better communication skills, better success at work. The best way to start reducing anxiety is having a plan. The more you plan and the more time you put into planning and preparation, your body legitimately has a positive physiological response to having a plan. And that reduces your anxiety. The more preparation you do, the better you feel, the more confident you are, the more you've considered all of the different things that could go wrong, which means the more prepared you are. There's inevitably going to be things that go wrong in a presentation. You forget a word, the audio doesn't work, the AV system doesn't work well, you forgot a talking point, you got thrown off by a conversation that happened right before you went up on stage, someone changed what they wanted to hear, the topic adjusted. When you have that type of planning, it reduces the stress going into those situations in a big way. So you can show up on the day and provide a solid performance and be less perturbed by those things that may or may not happen.
I always think about control what you can control. You can control the planning and the preparation that you put into it. And it doesn't have to be perfect, but that sets you up. So when some of those outliers, those uncontrollables come up, you can make the adjustments and still feel like you had this plan in place and you can bring it back.
When you're planning, you can make adjustments and you can consider in advance the things that could go wrong. And by doing that, you can practice, rehearse, and figure out what you would do in those situations.
If you have that mentality of, if X happens, then I will do Y. because the more that you are comfortable with knowing that these things can come up, that's okay. Because taking that deep breath and having that pause, moving on to the next point, it's setting yourself up for success. I'm going to go back to the sports analogy in professional athletes. You think about when they get onto a field, right? They are a court. They spend 2, 3, 4 hours at game time. But what we don't see is behind the scenes in the hours that they spend going through fundamental drills. And there's no secret to it. Even the most simple part of their job that we take for granted, we think that they're just naturally gifted, they put in the work. That's why they perform at the elite level, because they go through the repetition constantly. It's just like when you're speaking in front of an audience, there's no secret to the best speakers out there. They put in the work, whether it's talking through it constantly in front of a mirror or...
Professional basketball players still shoot free throws every single day at practice. One of the most fundamental things you can do. They still run sprints. They work out regularly. They do a lot of fundamentals over and over again. That's why they became professional.
So let's present a couple of solutions for them. Ultimately, the first 60 seconds of your speech, your presentation, your training, whatever you're delivering in front of an audience or even just an individual, that's the most important part, because that's when we're most nervous. And once we can break through that first 60 seconds, then things start to become more comfortable. Would you agree?
Yep.
Start off by rehearsing that first 60 seconds. Get that down 100%, because the more confident you can deliver that first 60 seconds, you are going to feel way more comfortable. The second piece is break it down into 2 to 5 minute chunks. If you can do that and just continue to rehearse that in these smaller chunks, then you don't feel like you have to memorize everything. And then, you're starting from front to back and you start to forget your place and all that. It's just put it into bite-sized pieces. That makes it more comfortable and easier to digest. Yeah. And it also makes you probably look and sound less authentic. And that's where, once again, you're trying to build that emotional human connection. And the more you come off as, I've scripted this entire presentation, it feels robotic and people don't see the real you. So have that message that you want to deliver and just let it out. And the more you practice that, you're going to stumble, you're going to fumble over your words, but then ultimately you're going to be like, okay, I vetted through, this didn't sound right, or the way that I said this, it wasn't really necessarily me. Maybe you use some AI tools to help you craft the script per se, but then you work through that and make it sound more natural as to who you are versus this is a script that was written for me. All right, Scott, let's squash a myth. Confidence is certainly not a personality trait. Nobody was born with confidence. I want to say that again. Nobody was born with confidence. It is a trait that is built on experience, practice, and really working on that skill.
Skill and repetition build confidence. It's not something, you're right, people aren't born with it. People appear confident, and a lot of times it's easy to assume that they just had it their whole life. It was somehow instilled in them. What it basically means is that they spend maybe more time building that confidence through experiencing things, practicing things, developing skills, and that's what leads to confidence. So in all aspects of our lives, we build confidence through practice, through experiencing. There's a study from Stanford that shows that structured rehearsal increased perceived confidence by 38%, even if the delivery quality didn't. So what that means is how you feel matters as much as how you actually performed. The audience can recognize that. It shows up in physical traits that might not be completely obvious, but eye contact, posture, how we pause, how we inflect certain words, all of those things happen more and more purposefully when we have confidence. And confidence happens the more and more we rehearse and practice. The number one way to reduce anxiety for a presentation or public speaking event is to practice and rehearse.
Then there's the positive affirmation, the positive self-talk. I can't tell you how many times before a presentation, a training, I tell myself that I am going to deliver an impactful training because this is something that I'm passionate about, and I know that my audience will appreciate what it is that I have to bring to them.
I haven't always said that. I've started off some events thinking, oh my God, this is going to be a disaster.
You're setting yourself up for failure.
That's exactly right. Sometimes you can luck through those moments, but negative self-talk breeds negative outcomes, typically speaking. It is important. Positive affirmations help. Listen, when I was a kid, I remember a skit on Saturday Night Live that made light of the idea of positive affirmations. Stuart Smalley, one of the funniest segments I can remember on Saturday Night Live. And I remember him making Michael Jordan sit in front of a mirror and say, I'm smart enough, I'm good enough, and doggone it, people like me. And so I grew up thinking of positive affirmations as a joke, as a skit, as something that is just funny and fun. That is an effective way to build a positive attitude. And when you have a positive attitude, you generate a higher quantity of positive outcomes. And from those, some things aren't going to be perfect. You might go into some events with a positive attitude, but there might be some things that still go wrong. But because you went in with positive intent and positive affirmation, you can then view the situation in a more positive light as a learning experience and understanding how to enhance it for the next time or prevent something for the next time. Or you can sit back and say, I knew it. I knew it was going to be a disaster, and sure enough, it was a disaster. Mm-hmm. And it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Again, it absolutely rewires your mindset. If you believe that you can do something, you're going to perform much better than if you go in with this mindset of this kind of imposter syndrome of why am I the one doing this? I'm not good enough. It all starts with that positive mindset, which will set you up for success.
There's a lot of apps that help with mindfulness. They give you daily aspirations. They help you journal to create a positive mindset. There's apps that help you reduce anxiety when you're going to sleep by listening to relaxing sounds, ambient noise. I have a 4.5-year-old son, and it wasn't just a couple years ago where he still had the noise machine in his room. And I used to sit in there, putting him to bed, reading him books, and I'd find myself, man, I'm about to doze off too, right here with this guy. That stuff helps. There's an app called Mindcera that's out there that you can use, download, and that helps you journal. It gives you cognitive restructuring tools. It gives you confidence building exercises. It helps you with those daily affirmations. And there's a lot more out there as well to dig into. And it's important to use those. We combine the use of tools with a lot of human coaching to gain experience, whether it's through communication, coaching, public speaking, any of those soft skills.
Yeah. Look, confidence, it's not magic. It just comes down to the more reps that you put in, the more confident you're going to be. Plain and simple. It can be something as simple as just record yourself on video. Play it back. I remember going through training my younger years when I was just getting into training, learning, and development, and I forced myself to watch video after video of me presenting, training, and it's a little cringing at first.
It's uncomfortable.
It's very uncomfortable, but it helps you understand the little behaviors that we don't notice when we're actually speaking. Whether that's, I talk too fast, or my body language is just really awkward. Maybe it's, I don't ask enough questions, or it can be anything. You can go back, dissect it, make some notes, and rehearse again.
There's some things that we all do that are awkward. We don't know about, we don't realize it. But when you watch yourself and you practice and you work through those cringy moments of how I sound, how I look, and you get comfortable with the fact that this is how I sound, this is how I look, and this is how I can make it better, it becomes a lot easier to manage. Let's talk about breathing techniques. This is really important. It's subtle, but it's important. This takes me back to athletes. Dave, you played a lot of baseball growing up. We both watch a lot of sports. Our kids are into sports. There's these big moments, whether you're a professional athlete or maybe just a kid in Little League, that feels like the next at-bat is everything. If you watch people that are successful in a lot of these different arenas, you'll notice something very specific. Right before something important needs to happen, you'll see the most successful people take a deep breath. You can physically watch it happen. Watch a professional baseball player in the bottom of the ninth with 2 outs and a man on second, down by 1 run, 2 strikes, and you'll see them take a second, take a deep breath, exhale, and then step into the batter box. You see it over and over again.
Because what happens is it activates the parasympathetic system in your body, which is basically like your chill mode. You take a deep breath, it just automatically calms you down. That's why you see these paramedics or coaches talking to their players. Deep breath. I got the pleasure of coaching my son in Little League, and I constantly tell him when he's pitching, slow down, take a deep breath, because I know that calms him down.
So you're feeling those nerves, you're feeling your heartbeat start to race. It's about time to go up on stage. It's about time for the presentation to start. Take a deep breath, exhale. It changes a lot. It changes your approach, it changes your mindset going in, provides you with a sense of calm. It doesn't erase all of the nerves. It doesn't get rid of all of the anxiety, but it helps you embrace the moment versus want to run away from the moment, which I've been really tempted to do on a few occasions.
We've all been there.
For sure. So it's almost like rebooting your system. It's like tricking your body into thinking, wait, this is fun. This is going to be fun. I'm going to make this work. I'm going to figure this out. It's okay. It's going to happen. It's going to work out for the positive.
Yeah, there's another technique that I've used before. This is probably earlier on as I was still getting comfortable speaking in front of larger audiences, but there's this progressive muscle relaxation where you tense up your muscles. You start with your feet and you tense your feet up, hold it for 10, 15 seconds and then release. Do that all the way up your body to your calves, your thighs. And as you do that, going back to what you said is like it reboots your body, your system. That's another way to help like you that tenseness and then the relaxation.
And having been on stage, concerts, public speaking, the pitching mound, you've got a lot of real life experiences to back that up. And not all of it goes perfectly, but a much higher percentage will go great the more you put these tools into practice, and the more you do this stuff. Repetition matters with a lot of these things.
Let's talk tech.
Let's talk through some different tools. We talked about some mindfulness tools, and there's a ton. So definitely go through apps on your phone and do a search for mindfulness tools, breathing exercises. All of that stuff's going to help. There's also, when it comes to preparation, AI can help you with your public speaking as well. We've been really vocal about a lot of these tools. There's apps that you can speak into the phone and practice 30 seconds, a minute, 2 minutes of what you're trying to say, and it'll give you instant feedback of filler words, pauses, tone, volume, all of those things that really matter, and it gives you a chance to work on that stuff before you actually have to go in and do it.
Yeah. Two of those apps, Speako and Orai, are two that we've found very helpful.
Those are great. You also have, if you want to, one way to get more prep time is to use AI tools to help you craft your presentation. That gives you more time to practice. So you're not spending so many hours creating PowerPoints or writing out the speech and trying to memorize a script. You can use AI tools like ChatGPT, Gamma AI. They can create the outline of the script, the overview. They can create the presentation and the visuals for you, and that frees you up to spend more time practicing this stuff out loud, which is, most people spend way too much time on the design and no time practicing. And it should be the opposite. And AI tools actually help you do that. In the past, 10 years ago, Dave and I would have to spend so many hours creating the perfect PowerPoint slides and visuals and handouts that go with all the training courses that we would make. And it would take up a lot of time. So then we're left with just a couple of days to maybe practice and rehearse what it is we're trying to do. And then you feel like you're learning it on the fly, and it's really difficult. Nowadays, it's the opposite. You can have these tools do a lot of that for you, and the editing goes so much faster.
Bottom line, AI just simply gives you the structure early so you can spend more time doing what's most important, which is rehearsing, practicing, doing the planning, the what ifs. Let me make this as simple and clear as possible. AI tools will help you give the structure early, so that way you can spend time on what's most important, and that is preparing, planning, practicing, rehearsing to be more confident when you go to actually speak or present. Let's talk about some key action steps. What do you take away from today? What are you going to do the next time you have to prepare, practice? Is it box breathing for 60 seconds to help reset your nervous system? Is it going to be the AI tools in getting feedback on how you're presenting? Breaking it down into bite-sized pieces. We talked about the first 60 seconds of your speech, rehearsing that constantly to get that down to nearly perfect. That way, you break through that initial nervousness or anxiety.
Actions you need to take. Dave and I talk a lot about empowering people. If you want to see transformation in what you do and how you grow, you have to help empower others, and you have to take action with the tools you're given. So for everyone out there listening on how to reduce anxiety, the next steps are pretty clear. Think about how you're going to plan. Think well in advance. The next time you have an opportunity to speak publicly or present information to a group, train people, any environment like that, number one, I recommend you dive into it. Say yes. Jump in. As nervous as you might be, as much as anxiety as you might have, yes, some people would rather fight a bear than go in front of an audience and do a presentation or a speech. It's okay to change that. You can change your mind towards whether or not that's scary, and you can do it through planning, through preparation, through rehearsal, using AI tools to craft and draft outlines of things that you're going to say and do differently in those moments so that you can spend more time practicing and rehearsing. Breathing exercises. No matter what it is, any anxiety or any type of nervousness in life can be mitigated through breathing exercises, positive affirmations, and there's a lot of tools out there that will help you do that. Otherwise, continue to follow us. Hang on for more, stay tuned for more tips from Dasco Learning and how it is that we continue to grow and learn, because it's all about empowering you. Dave and I are passionate about empowering people. We're passionate about helping people transform their ability to communicate. And we want people to do these things while being authentic and not losing their sense of self in who they are. You can be powerful and you can be persuasive, and you can do it by being yourself.
All right, until our next episode, breathe, prepare, and be ready to step up to the mic feeling confident. Thanks, everyone. See you next time.